People who declined a proposal, why did you do it? Got asked in college by a close female friend. We weren't dating, I hadn't ever felt an attraction to her, and I knew she just wanted a husband more than she wanted me. The actual person. 100% yikes. Reminds me of my old coworker. She couldn't make things work with her boyfriend, so she broke up with him and then proposed to her friend from high school. According to her, she wasn't interested in him as a man, she just wanted to get married before she turned 27. She literally told him that if he said yes, she would continue to date other guys, and if she couldn't find one who she liked by 27, she would marry him. Idiot said yes. God knows what happened to them. There was a guy who proposed to his coworker in the middle of their shift. The girl shouted something rude and walked away. A few minutes go by and the girl comes back with a smile on her face. That day I realized that a pair of twins worked at my workplace. That day I witnessed that a guy proposed her girlfriend's twin by accident. Edit. The twins look the exact same. You can't tell which one is which if you see them next to each other. Before this happened, I worked at that branch for 2 years thinking it's just one person. I was kind of embarrassed, but not as embarrassed as the specimen mentioned earlier. I thought my ex had anger management issues, and I didn't get along with his mother, so I said no. He was too attached to her. He later became a violent alcoholic. Years after we broke up, he also stole quite a bit of money from me to give to his mother for bills. I was not aware of this until months after the fact. I feel like I dodged a huge bullet there. I was in my first few years of teaching and one of my 9-year-old students brought his sister's play ring to school, got down on one knee when the class was on the field, and he proposed to me. It was very sweet. I declined, saying that he was a little young for me. When I was student teaching, I had a student from Ghana who insisted that I, 21 at the time, was far past my prime for marriage. He stole a ring from his mom's jewelry box and said he was willing to make the sacrifice and marry me so that I wasn't old and alone in the world. Kid was 15. Needless to say, I declined. That was a weird phone call home. It was our first date. He showed up drunk and called me somebody else's name. Hey Karen, you wanna? I'm not Karen. That's not what I asked about. He literally only proposed because I caught him cheating. He thought I would say yes. Oh my gosh, of course. I forgive you. Please, continue to cheat on me after we both sign a legally binding contract. Dude was dumb. Well, he proposed as I was breaking up with him, which was awkward, and for some reason he thought it would make me change my mind. Also, he had threatened to my family the day before, hence the breakup, so there's that. My mother was engaged to a man while she was in college. The wedding plans were well underway, and as the wedding got closer, her fiancé started acting super clingy and possessive. She called it off a few months before getting married. He has lived locally their whole lives, so she's run into him a few times. Apparently he's the super jealous type who doesn't let his wives have male friends, and he has been married 3 times. My mom definitely dodged a bullet. And you, my friend, dodged non-existence. He was that weird stoner patron that came in just to talk to me even though I wasn't interested. He told me he was the heir to the Commonwealth and should be king after Elizabeth dies, because he had 3 out of the emblems of the United Kingdom, and once he got the 4th it would secure his position. He would also make airplane noises when I had my attention turned to other tasks. That's a no, Jason. Emblems? Are those like Pokemon badges? My mom had been dating a guy for a few weeks after his wife had just died from cancer. His daughter was at college and he was paying for her education, boarding, food. I had just turned 18 and started paying my mom rent money. He proposed but said that I needed to move out because he didn't like me and thought that I was a freeloader. My mom told him that she loved me more than him and that he could shove his wife's ring up his and left him. I was fresh out of high school and dating a guy in the military that I went to school with. We had been dating about 3 months when he proposed. He was nice, and I could have seen a future with him, but 3 months was just too soon for me. Even though we had been friends for quite some time, I told him I wasn't ready and he never spoke to me again. I was in high school, she had schizophrenia, and I wasn't a lesbian. Also, we weren't dating. Gorgeous 19-year-old girl I worked with. We had been a little flirtatious with each other but were just close work friends. I was under 25 meters. She got knocked up by a guy she wasn't dating seriously. She was opposed to abortion so was planning to keep the baby but wanted to end it with that guy. She took me aside and slowly and seriously proposed marriage with me. Her rationale being that we loved each other even though we were just friends and that I would be a wonderful father, so we should give it a shot. She was sincere. But seeing as her proposal was insane though oddly tempting, I said no. She married the father of her child shortly after. They're still married. Going on 20 years now. Only one child. So I suppose I said no because I was a young man and that wasn't my child. I do wonder what would have happened if I'd said yes. But that would have been insane, right? Edit, since people are asking. I am very happily married with one child. I could probably say that there are a couple women in my past that I wonder if I should have married. This girl is not one of them. I wouldn't change a thing about my life now. I love my family and have no regrets. No, I don't secretly wish I had married this girl. When he asked, my future flashed in front of me and I hated it. He was a good guy and I did love him. But we wanted different things. We had been together for many years but the proposal was still a surprise. I think he proposed to try and save a sinking relationship. He asked me randomly when on a night out when we weren't even dating, just friends. I thought he was joking but then he came over the next day to ask what my feelings were. I had to say I didn't think of him that way and it was awkward for a while. I'm on the opposite side of this story, but it's still a good one. This was years ago. My girlfriend and I were at a friend's wedding, and I got caught up in the romanticism of it and wound up blurting out a proposal at the reception. She said no, and explained that this wasn't the memory of a proposal that she wanted. It felt tacky to tie this important moment to someone else's special day, and she told me to ask her again later. In a different setting, literally 5 minutes later, they announced that the bride was going to throw the bouquet. All the girls lined up. It went into the air, and sailed straight into my girlfriend's arms. She laughed, turned to me, and said, "That moment is pretty good. Okay, I guess we're engaged." I like this story best. My abusive girlfriend tried to get me to marry her. Then, she beat me with a chair for slightly overcooking the Thanksgiving turkey. Yeah, turns out that beating somebody so bad that you break their arm is a good way to get your proposal turned down. Edit. To answer some questions. She was arrested. It's not something I talk about much. But needless to say, she was not given a light sentence. Also, for those joking around in the comments, kindly grow the up. Edit 2. Thanks for the silver. Random stranger. He was incredibly drunk and we had only been dating a year. 10 years later he did it properly. We've been married 6 years. I was 15, he was 17. I wasn't ready. I liked him a lot but wasn't ready to plan a life with any one person at that age. There was a guy at my high school prom that proposed to his girlfriend in the middle of the dance floor. Low by Flo Rida was playing. She said no. A coworker of mine, happily married for a good long while, told me that the only man she dated before her husband was obsessed with her, and pursued her even after she broke up with him and had proposed multiple times before and after they broke up. He just had this unhealthy obsession with her for some reason. The last time he proposed to her was the day before her wedding to her husband. She of course turned him down, and he finally moved on and married a different girl. I told her jokingly that he sounded unhinged and she really dodged a bullet there. She went quiet for a moment and then said, "Well, he killed the woman he did end up marrying." My husband proposed 1 month into dating. I declined because, 1 month. A year later we moved in together and he proposed and I declined because I wasn't ready. Almost 3 years later and 2 more declined proposals, I said yes on the 4th time. I finally felt ready. We have been married 11 years. In retrospect, his instincts were probably better than mine. My now wife asked me to marry her. I told her I needed to think about it and eventually told her no. I thought I would have held her back. My store was closing down, and 2 months before that happened, I turned down a different offer to stay, so I knew I was gonna be without work for some time. She didn't take it well and we didn't speak for a couple years. Eventually though our paths crossed again and we both missed each other tons. One night she tells me, "So molecule, you make up your mind yet?" I instantly broke down laughing, and 2 weeks later we were married. I proposed to my boyfriend of 3 years. He told me he loved me but just wasn't ready because his parents had a really bad marriage and frankly, he didn't know if he could ever get married. I cried my eyes out and he held me, but he was gently adamant. I accepted after a while that we wouldn't get married and to be happy that we were together and loved each other. 2 years later he proposed to me. Married 12 years so far.